My name is Anna Silk. For 6 seasons, I played Bo on the hit TV series Lost Girl.
And my name is Rachel Skarsten, and for 3 seasons, I played Tamsin.
Welcome to the Lost Girl Rewatch Podcast,
a show where we will look at all the episodes, share some behind-the-scenes stories,
and chat with some very special guests.
Now, on the show, our relationship was sometimes rocky.
But in life, our friendship is rock solid.
We are so glad that you are here to join us for this trip down memory lane.
We love that the family is back together again. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to season 2 of the Lost Girl Rewatch Podcast. We're back. We were gone for a little while, we know, but we are back. And as you can see, we are so fortunate to be back with the ever charming, oh, so handsome, so delightful and delicious and hot in this episode. Holy cow. Like, I actually think I'm sweating.
Oh my gosh. Come on. The red dress takes the cake for hotness.
Kris Holden-Ried is back with us. Yay.
Yes.
Thank you, Kris.
Thank you. It's lovely to be here and see your beautiful faces. I miss you guys.
We miss you. So we are going to talk about episode 1 and 2. Of season 2. We did 22 episodes. So this season on the podcast, we're coupling them up to talk about them. So we're going to talk about episodes 1 and 2. Episode 1 and episode 2 were both written by the incredible Michelle Lovretta. Episode 1 was directed by Rob Lieberman, and episode 2 was directed by Steve DeMarco. And you know what I remembered watching these? When we went back, remember how season 1 we shot out of order?
Yes.
Season 2, when we came back, we were told we're going to shoot in order, which was a gift, except episode 1 and 2. We started with episode 2. Was our first one back.
What series even does that? I've never heard of that. They come to you and say, oh, we're going to shoot them in order. You're welcome.
Yeah, I know. Like
every series I've done shoots in order.
That was
like not the scenes of the episode, but the episodes basically. Or you do in blocks.
In blocks, right. But when we came back, we started with episode 2, and then we went to episode 1, and then we went 3, 4, 5, 6, and et cetera.
What a relief.
The problem with season 1 was our pilot episodes that John Fawcett shot a year before we shot season 1 was amazing, but it was a mid-storyline pilot. So it was episode 8. So they were trying to backfill, and they hadn't written the rest. So they were just filling things up. So we would shoot as they had it ready.
But then wouldn't you go 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9?
They they just did whatever was ready because they were problem solving on the fly. They were like, how do we get them to this point? And we did so much ambiguous acting, and I remember we would just be like,
each other?
Which way should we go? And they're just like, just kind of keep it in the ambiguous zone. Like,
sit on the fence. Oh, that's a good, strong acting choice.
Yeah. That's a good direct. Yeah, exactly. Always a strong choice to be ambiguous. But hey, people like season 1.
But I want to say, so these episodes for you, Mr. Holden-Ried, were pretty freaking powerful. You brought so much gravitas to the screen. And if everyone remembers, the end of season 1, we left off with, this big battle between Bo and her mom. She's been looking for her mom. Now she's in this big battle. And Dyson goes to the Norn, who was incredible.
Yes.
And to give his wolf. And instead, what she takes, I can't even say it. It breaks my heart.
His love for Bo.
And so we start with one of those things on shows, which I love, when one main character and the audience knows something that another main character doesn't know. So Bo doesn't know this yet. And actually, no one really does, except for Dyson and the entire fan base and the audience. Yeah. We ended on really high stakes, and we come back, and Dyson's nowhere to be found, which I love that. I love that. And I love your entrance. Anyway, talk about it.
Yeah. At the end of season 1, I remember I was sitting Michelle didn't know how to hook Dyson's storyline. We were sort of brainstorming, and I actually just pitched her on it. I was like, why don't we have him run off into the woods like a wounded animal? And you don't know if he's going to come back or not. And at that point, I wasn't sure if they wanted me for season 2. So I was like, it gives you a grade out. Write me out of the story.
And I can just keep running, or I can come back.
I'll just keep running.
just running.
I just become littlest hobo.
Move on to the next town.
Move on to the next show. That's right. And she was like, that's great. So we kind of worked on that together. And then it was such a simple shoot, right? It was just like me in the woods and I run off. And so it like saved them a lot of problems. And then, and Jay was like, I want you to come back and like their music and the feet walking in and like, you want to do this build. And of course we ran out of time to do that. So it's just like, Casey, pan up, Dysons and cups.
Yeah.
it still worked, but like,
it was cool.
I remember
and they gave you that real alpha cool. male comeback of like, he's been out at a bar.
I just been at a bar.
Yeah. Like, or like what, like Roadhouse. It's better than a bar, Roadhouse,
So a funny little aside, I just came from ADR, like I told you. And the scene that I was looping was me coming out of a pond naked, walking up to a girl. And I just watched episode 1 where I take my shirt off in front of a Hale. And it was a bit of a wake-up call to see the 15 years before Kris Holden-Ried and then the 50-year-old half-naked Kris Holden-Ried. I was like, oh, so sad.
Listen, I
was pretty shredded.
You were pretty shredded, my friend, and I'm sure you
shredded.
Yes. And I know it's weird to look back and like I look at my cheeks in some of them. I'm like, look at my little cheeks. I look so young, so dewy.
I know.
It's so funny. Like I look back at that guy, and it's like my face is like changed too, and it's like. He just looks like such a little kid to me now. I'm like, oh.
You guys do. You look so young. But you know the crazy thing about it is that when I remember when I joined, well, and I actually thought that we were the same age for quite a while, but just the number, your age when you told me, and of course I was 20 to a decade younger. And I remember thinking, wow, like, they're so grown up, and they have families and stuff, and they're married. Like, that's so crazy. And then I look at you now and I'm like, what was I thinking? They were zygotes, like they were tiny.
I know. Yeah.
Time humbles us all.
Like probably partway through Lost Girl, I was your age now. The age you are now-ish.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know.
Yeah.
So one thing we should obviously state, audience, is Rachel was not in season 2.
No,
obviously everyone knows this, but she is co-hosting this season because we love her and we want to see more of her. And you have some
spice,
some fun questions and.
So, okay, I actually had a question for you guys.
Okay,
because you do this season 1, and then you're picked up for season 2. How did you both feel about that coming back? Were you excited? What was your memory of that experience coming back into the show after finishing one season?
Well, I think we spent the whole break in a roadhouse somewhere drinking, bar fighting.
That's right.
No, I can't remember if we found out before the season ended or if we ended and then found out. I just don't remember.
It was pretty quick, if I recall, because like we waited. So we waited a year in between the pilot and season 1. Was it another year in between season 1 and 2, or was it quick?
I mean, I think it was quicker.
I know I would have. Was it? Okay, I can't remember how the timeline. No, it was actually pretty long because I went out and shot Underworld out in Vancouver. That was 4 or 5 months. I shot something else in Morocco.
What was I doing?
It was long.
What the heck was I doing?
You were rolling around in your money.
Yeah, that's right. I had piled it on my bed and I was writhing around until the phone rang. Hello? Oh, season 2.
It was another year.
That's completely not true, by the way, everybody. But yeah, it was a chunk of time. But I do remember, this is what I remember.
How was it a year? Normally you don't have... Like, how did they hold you for a year? I don't understand.
They just did.
They
held us gently.
Yeah, there was. Actually, you know what? I remember there was a renegotiation of the time because they had like 6 months, and then they actually renegotiated.
Yeah, they did
to hold you
which
longer.
Is why I was able to renegotiate a second season because I did season 1 like for peanuts, and so
Like literally, we would feed Kris peanuts.
Yeah.
We'd say, good job.
That's why I got so ripped. I was just eating
pure
peanuts.
Protein. And
an amazing keto diet.
And because you were part wolf, like you were very obedient.
That's right. Yeah, exactly.
Peanuts just follows Kris around. I don't know, because you know how it cons. Kris, you and I will talk about how when we would have kissing scenes, you'd be eating peanuts.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what it is about peanuts, but it just keeps coming up.
I have kissed Kris when he has been eating peanuts too.
Oh no, I'm so sorry.
I have.
It's all he was getting. We can't. You know what? In retrospect, I feel badly. Kris was only getting peanuts.
Yeah,
now we know why.
About my
that was everything.
Right? That's right.
That was it. That was your meals and your pay. But I do remember when we came back to film, we filmed episode 2, then episode 1, which I've already discussed. But I do remember us all coming back and we kind of just like locked in and like hit the ground running. It didn't feel as like, who are we? What's happening? And we already had done that in season 1. So I just remember coming back and being like, we're on. You know, and everyone was excited and everyone kind of had dug deeper into their own characters. And
you didn't know that you were doing 22 episodes at the beginning, right?
No, we didn't.
But we found out early, like around episode 7-ish, I'm going to say.
Yeah, 7 or 8, somewhere mid-season.
And were you excited about that? Did you want to do 22 episodes?
Well,
yeah, because we didn't know what it meant.
We're Canadians.
Like, let's keep going.
We're Canadians.
And then it comes to episode 20, we were just like, when will this end?
I'm in coma.
If I have to say the Garuda one more time, I'm going to punch a writer in the face.
What they had to do was say Garuda a million times. And I remember at one point coming out of like filming at the end and I was like, is it day or night? Night or day? Like I didn't know what was up and down. You know,
so many fratter days.
Kris is just eating peanuts. We're like Garuda.
Yeah, I'm eating the peanuts from him. Like we're just like,
just pulling them out of my beard. We don't know who we are.
It was exciting because like it was a back 9. They call it getting the back 9, right?
Yeah,
and that's just not something we heard about in Canada. We're like, you know, we didn't know of that. Yeah. We knew nothing. So it was very, very exciting. But it was like 10 and a half months, I remember, of, you know, just her.
It was a grind.
What month did you guys start filming? Was it the summer, like end of the summer?
Yeah, because we're outside.
Yeah, it's warm.
205 was all summer. So we shot all the way through till spring. Yeah. We almost did like a summer to spring.
Yeah, it was all seasons.
Yeah, we were out in the winter. Well, you've done 22 episodes.
Before, that takes 10 months.
Yeah, exactly. So you get all the, and
you did that on Rain, right?
No, Rain, we didn't do 22. I think we did like 16. They did 22 the first 2 seasons. And then on Batwoman, I did 20 and we were shut down by the pandemic. And I was like, that's cool. Don't care. I was very happy to have it. It's a lot. Shooting 22 episodes it's a lot.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
Full on. Okay. So then you land back in season 2, episode 1.
Yeah.
What's your favorite memory if you do remember?
I know the opening in the tunnel with me and Casey and then Kenzie. What I remembered watching that was that tunnel, like it was like rocky, and so we had to like walk across rocks, hold the weapon that had a flashlight that we couldn't shine into the camera, and the tunnel was full of spiders. Like real spiders.
So that gun was like the biggest gun I've ever seen.
They look great.
So unnecessary. So I'm so scared of, who wants spiders landing on their head? Nobody. Even if you love spiders, that's not where you want them. So I remember.
Well, maybe if you love them.
If you love them. Yeah. I had to pretend I love them. I had to disengage and just be like, I love spiders. If they land in my mouth, it's okay. Because I was so scared. And I just remember walking through that tunnel. That's what I remember. And Lisa, our lovely props lady, I remember her going through the tunnel for me to look for spiders and be like, there's no, there's no spiders. There's no spiders. And I'm like, I know you're lying, but you're very sweet. That's my first memory.
Those props look great.
Yeah.
Like Ian Brock and the production design, like when Casey holds up like that flame Gatling gun. I was like, that's so cool.
I know.
I totally forgot that.
No.
Yeah.
And it was the first time we ever heard about under Fae, right? Because that was kind of interesting. Right. That's where we got into those like darker unearthing of things.
One of the first things I remember about season 2 was we had a new showrunner, Grant Rosenberg, who was coming in from other shows, new to our universe, but a real good pro, LA pro showrunner. And it was an interesting learning curve working with him and seeing what his, because we were also invested in season 1 when Michelle was invested. And he was much more like, and I remember him sitting me down and he was just like, he interviewed all of us in the beginning. And he was like, and then he asked me point blank, what do you think your job is on this show?
What? Isn't that a great question?
Yeah, it's a great question as an actor. Yeah. And I was like, I think I'm the grounding baseline is what I said. I think that Dyson's job is to make the world real. That all the other things can get built on. Like him and Trick are the kind of baseline of the Fae reality. And as soon as I said that, he was like, you're absolutely right. And he was like, this guy gets what he's doing. And him and I became partners at that point. And we had a great relationship up to a point where then there was some stuff that we disagreed on. And I remember we had a good disagreement, but then we fixed ourselves sort of mid-season. And we worked really well.
He was a good dude. He was a good dude. He brought a lot to our show.
Yeah. A real pro.
He's written 2 novels.
So that was, has he really? Wow. I used to reach out to him every once in a while. I should again. So that was my first memory. And of going, and he kind of gave me permission to be that grounded kind of performance that I like to do for Dyson. Which sometimes, granted, I take it too far because, we had Jay going, no, we want more funny.
I love that because I feel like by the time I joined the show, you were lighter in your portrayal of Dyson. And it's really interesting for me to go back and watch your performance in the first 2 seasons because you're very like gritty and grounded and there's so many moments of silence that you have. And it's just
that's the kind of acting that I came from. Thanks. That was the training that I had. And I loved, that's what I brought to it. And it was, Lost Girl was, and we've talked about the amount of craft we had to learn in Lost Girl, because that is a strength, absolutely. But there are so many other crafting portions of doing character and show and different show style. And so Lost Girl kind of took me as my personal performance from that sort of grounded, gritty work, which I was comfortable doing, and like forced me to learn to go that lighter and like to service the show in different ways. And like, honestly, it was a total benefit to my career and learning all those things through Lost Girl. Like we did everything on Lost Girl. We went from super grounded to dancing on the beds with U02 with parasites in our ears. To remember when we were like Alice in Wonderland and I had the prosthetics and like you were
the Wizard of Oz. The Wizard of Oz.
The Wizard of Oz. Sorry, not Alice in Wonderland.
But it developed organically. Like it, like it didn't feel like Dyson suddenly changed. It just felt like he was allowing himself. Because in this season, like Rachel just said too, like you were so, especially when you come back in this first episode and
this was the beginning of Grumpy Dyson.
It's that I remember you and I having a conversation about you were saying to me like the challenge of playing the absence of something, right? Because your love was taken away. How do you play the taking away of something, right? How do you, and so what worked so well, I thought, was the anguish in Dyson and this dilemma of telling Bo. And also, I mean, I love the kiss, which I'm jumping ahead a little bit.
Into
no, I think the kiss was in the end of the first one. Remember they set up the round track? And there was all those people dancing. And then you and I had to kiss. And what I love about it is Bo turns away so like full. And Dyson's face is just, you see that it's absent for him. Like you wonder, but also you can see he's pained by the absence of love, which is so interesting. And how do you do that? But you did it. I mean, you did it.
Good. Because it's a weird one. Right? It's like, is it just total apathy or like, or is he aware of the loss of it? And he has to be aware of it, but what is the loss of a feeling that you can't feel? It's like blindness or deafness.
Yeah. You haven't forgotten her, and you have the knowledge of the love. Yeah. Yeah. It just doesn't penetrate. It was really interesting. I remember we would talk about it while you were eating peanuts.
It was a challenge.
And then to be like, action. Oh, okay. Absence of love. But anyway, I had forgotten all about that until I watched these. And I was like, oh, yeah. And it was really cool to watch.
Well, when I just was watching 202, and at the end there where, you've got the wine and we do that and you kiss me again, I couldn't remember how it unfolded. And I thought that when you did the blue eyes on me, that you were going to feel like an absence, like a void, like almost a black hole. And I thought, I couldn't remember how it went. I thought you were going to be like, oh my God, that you would realize at that point that there's nothing there. But no, the writers were like, it's, because they have to like stretch out the anguish, right? So it couldn't be something as simple as that. So then Dyson had to be like, well, I'm done.
And Bo had to give her the classic psycho girlfriend, I can make you love me. Which was kind of cool for Bo to be a bit of a psycho.
But that was a good scene too. That last scene in 202, because that really sort of broke us then on the different trajectories.
It's also very sweet. Like Bo at this point, when I look back, she's still so hopeful. And there's an innocence in, like, she still does not understand the danger of the world she's in. She just doesn't quite get it.
Skylar's just going back to school and just saying bye. Bye. Came home for lunch.
Very nice. So yes, what was I going to say about? Oh yeah, I have here Kris, hot. Yeah, hot, frankly. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, whatever.
Well, also the punch. The punch in the face.
Yes, I love that scene in episode 1. The punch scene. That's right. When I show up at your place, and I'm so happy to see you, and then I punch you across the face, which I love. I love that scene. It's so good. You're shirtless in my memory. I only just watched it, but I can't remember. To me, you're shirtless all the time.
Shirtless with a motorcycle.
I know. Like, just stop.
Yeah.
Like
just all man stuff.
Troll.
Yeah.
I just love that. I love that punch. That's such a classic Michelle move too. Just to have that strength.
Yeah. There was a lot of good moments. Like we started off with a bang in season 2. It was great.
I also love the character who does all the sniffing. Like he's like, and he has a cold.
Yeah, I know, right? And he's got the allergies.
That's where we were still like dealing with like Fae hiding in plain sight, and him saying like, "Oh, they're one of ours," like, or they're all of them, or whatever. He was so great, that actor, and I love that he has an allergy. And, like, that's just so funny.
Yeah,
we've said this before, but all the guest stars on the show, even people who are only there for maybe 2 scenes, were fantastic actors. Like the other guy, the one who's vomiting out skin.
Oh God,
like so he was so creepy and scary. Like the first time you see him, and then he was like, I don't know if it was CGI, and his like jaw goes down. I'm watching it being like,
Rachel, you don't know if it was CGI?
Special skills. Special skills.
His jaw
dislocated jaw.
I can open my mouth pretty wide.
Let's see. Oh my God, you actually can.
Yeah, you
I don't think I can.
I used to be able to when I was a werewolf.
Well, yeah, but
before my accident. Post-job reconstruction. But also Paulo Nunes was terrific as the
circusy guy.
The circus headmaster, or whatever you call it.
I love this episode. I did
too. I love Kris. I love you smelling the straw. Like you get down, you're always like sniffing the knife.
I'm always smelling stuff. Which, as you guys both know, is something I do.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah. Rachel, like you must remember, like food would come around and Kris would open it and smell it like this, like right away. Like, and that's what my husband does too. And I'm like, what if it's bad? You smell people.
It's men.
So when you meet Kris Holden-Ried at a sci-fi convention, just know he is sniffing you.
He's smelling you.
Yeah, I'm smelling you. So
make
smell
it count.
Good. Smell good, please. Do everybody a favor.
Or at least memorable. At least be memorable.
All right, so let's go around to episode 2. Yes. So you guys shot this first. before episode 1.
Yes, we did. And
okay, do you remember what your first scene back was? Do either of you remember the first scene you shot in the episode?
I do.
Because that would have been the first in season 2.
And that's when I saw that scene, that's when I remembered that we shot season 2 or episode 2 first, because it's the very last scene where we're outside and the stag, played by the beautiful Natalie Brown, has been arrowed. And we were outside and I remember my eyes wouldn't stop watering. My hair was a fuzzball. I always remember my hair. And my eyes actually wouldn't stop tearing. And that was the first day of filming. And so if I watch it now, I can see how glassy-eyed I am. And I remember it being like the first day and I was like I was just a big mess. And so that's the weight I bear from that memory.
That's your memory.
That's my memory. That's how I know.
I don't just eating peanuts. I don't remember. I mean, I remember of Natalie Brown is a personal friend of mine in Toronto. And what's funny is the stand-in Tommy was also in the back, and Tommy is a personal friend of mine over the years now. Here, like we went to surfing trip. We were in Costa Rica together with all of our families like last year. And so I totally forgot that he was in that. And I was like, oh my God. And so Nat and I, we hang out sometimes in Toronto. I was like, and Tommy, what the fuck? It was so funny to see us like 15 years ago.
Natalie has worked steadily for so many years. She's beautiful, obviously. She actually looks like a deer, like her eyes, and she's such a lovely person. And so we were lucky to have her in that episode.
Yeah. And then it also introduced Lachlan.
Yes.
Yes. Played by Vinnie Walsh.
Who was incredible. And I love that intro of him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who may or may not be on the pod.
Stay tuned.
I hope he does. He's in Calgary right now shooting Billy the Kid.
Pretty awesome.
So,
yeah. So what? Episode 2. What do we say about that? I mean, there were so many great performances in episode 2. There was something about it that didn't flow as well to me. I don't know why. Maybe it's because it was the first one back. There was something that just it wasn't as seamless as the first one in my mind and in my memory.
Let's be honest here. You thought it was a bit of a snoozer.
I thought it was a bit of a clunker.
A clunker.
Like
there was a lot going on. But also,
yeah.
Remember, we were dealing with Steve DeMarco at the time, who was the Hatchet Man. He was called a Hatchet Man for a reason. He would not give us enough takes. He would cut into our stuff real tight and quick. He grew to love the show and respect it more and changed his directing dynamic down the seasonal roads. But in the beginning, I did not like Steve.
It was
DeMarco
very fast. It was fast and dirty. It was so quick.
It was too fast, too dirty, and I didn't find that he respected the show and the medium. Not the medium.
Do you think that changed between season 2 and season 3?
Yes, definitely.
Because I loved
he all of a sudden,
his style. I loved how fast it was. I thought it was like if you showed up and you knew your shit, then you were done by lunch because he knew what he wanted, you knew what you wanted, and it was like all systems go.
But in the beginning, he was a bit arrogant. He was arrogant, and egomaniacal about it, and like he was coming in as like the guy. He hadn't embraced the show as like it became, as we all know. He kind of all of a sudden started championing the show and was like,
very much,
this is my show, which is also a bit of a problem.
Well, frankly, I think he was Fae. So
yeah, I mean, Steve DeMarco looked like Fae.
But he did embrace the show, and he kind of embraced all of us too. I think that, but it was fast and dirty.
But it wasn't like that in this episode.
No.
He was still
the hardest thing for me to watch in episode 2. The hardest thing was me walking in that red dress and my voiceover. I remember on set, like being handed the script and being like, do the voiceover. And this is what it sounds like. We'll walk into the building and we'll go in there. And Hale, you'll go over here. And then Dyson, you'll go over there. Cut. And that's what they used. I mean, I never recorded it again. It sounds horrible.
Really? Oh.
Maybe no one's going to notice.
You did the recording on set. You didn't do it in ADR.
And I did it
and they just handed it to you for the first time.
And I thought it was like marking it or something. It's just, it's awful. Yeah. It's awful.
Yeah. I remember I got an argument about him and I was like, dude, you need to do another angle so you have something to cut away to, because this isn't flying right now. You didn't give us enough time to do a good performance, and now you're doing it as a oneer. we need something to cut into. And he was like, I was like, just fucking shoot something. And like him and I got into it.
He kind of liked getting into it, I think, but
he did. He liked that
I do
energy.
feel like the episode suffered a little bit. It just felt like it just missed the mark. It was like within striking distance, but it missed the mark. Me.
Yeah. And I remember that's why I was pissed at him on set, because I could feel in his pace that he was dropping balls, or like the balls weren't all on the table. I was like, but then it all changed around.
We like balls on tables.
Do you think it would have been different had it been directed by someone else? Because I find in shows like there are amazing episodes and things just click, and then some, like not every episode can be amazing. Or would it have been?
It was probably also quite a long episode, which is probably maybe why they gave it to him. But it was because a lot is going on.
And we shot in Casa Loma, right? That location in Toronto, and it was beautiful. But there's just a lot of like time restraints when you're shooting in that kind of a location, right? Just a lot of crunch.
I mean, I think John Fawcett would have done an amazing job with it, but it probably would have run 55 minutes as opposed to 47.
I don't know why.
That's what that happened.
You guys are watching when you do the...
Yeah.
Do you see that, Kris? That you were getting like bubbles?
Up. Rachel, do it again. No. I mean, for those of you watching the video, you'll see when Rachel does.
I did.
You did a thumbs up.
I don't know what I did. No, I know.
And then it's recognizing a thumbs up.
Yeah, but like now it's not working.
That's what iPhones are doing now. And like I've seen people doing interviews where they're talking about something like harrowing and serious, and they'll be like, "Just tell me," and their hands will do this, and all these fireworks will go behind them. Like, tell me about your ordeal. You know, like, and they're like, "Oh, I'm so sorry about these fireworks. What is going on? We're just being taken over."
Can you turn it off?
Yeah.
Probably
you can. AI is going to ruin us. This actually, guys, this isn't even us. This is just our... I'm still sleeping, and Kris is in the woods, and Rachel, I don't know what you're doing.
She's peanuts,
but this is just AI, us.
Yeah, like weird. Anyway, most of you are just listening to us, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
Okay, so what do you think worked then the best in this episode, and what really didn't work?
Well, the clunkiness it to me didn't work. Like it just didn't have the flow. But what worked? I mean, it's a lot that worked.
Yeah, I mean, it got the job done in terms of introducing the characters that then we're going to live with for the next 20 episodes.
But also, your arc in episode 1 and 2, Kris, was in particular was like, you know, you have to tell Bo at the end of the first episode, you have to tell her that the Norn, which I love that scene, by the way. And it's heartbreaking for both of them.
Yeah, we really had to set up, because then, you know, it gets more engaged with Lauren. And then that's really where they brought in the start of the fracture, which into the love triangle, quadrilateral, pentagram, however many sides it ended up being.
Parallelogram.
Just call it polygon. Multi-sided love affairs. But yeah, no, definitely those were the ones that had to fracture the Dyson bow singularity, let's say. And then the one thing that I remember about the whole season, especially when we started stretching it out, and I talked to Grant, the writer, and it was like, how do we keep dragging this on and make it interesting? Like, where can Dyson move to from this? You know, and that's when they brought in Kiara, another, which I guess is like 207 or something like that. No, it was in 205. 205 is going to be the big Dyson backstory one where we did the Braveheart Dyson.
Yes.
I remember that episode so well because when I joined the show, I wanted to watch all the episodes. And that one in particular, I remember I was in my trailer watching it on a DVD on the TV. I don't know why that episode I remember, but I just remember being on a really long break watching that episode. And just being like, wow, this show's so cool.
Kris can do a Scottish accent. That's so interesting.
You got to be even more like hairy and surly.
More hairy. That's right, with hair extensions. And that's where they brought the Norn back. That was his first encounter with the Norn.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, we can get to that. Bring me back to that episode. I'll talk to you about that.
We'll bring you back for that.
They introduced Kiara. But I just like.
But that's down the road. But yeah, talking about 1 and 2 is it was just really a nice.
I just loved the arc for Bo and Dyson. Like they had a whole story, absolutely. A whole thing that happened in just those 2 episodes. You know, a beginning, middle, and end. It was the most emotional stuff going on for them. You know, it was high stakes. And Bo's not just like jilted. She's like, you know, and that I love the last scene in episode 2 with Kenzie and Bo. It's, you know, one of the best friend scenes. They're eating ice cream. And I think it's in that scene, but maybe I'm wrong maybe it was the beginning. I can't remember. But at one point she says to Kenzie, he gave up that for me, like to save me. That alone is love. Like that's the love, you know, that's also Bo's very naive place. But I just love that hopefulness in her still. And I love.
Absolutely. You played it so well. Like,
well, thank you.
In episode 1, 2, or at the very beginning scene of episode 2 when you're on the swing.
Now that's where Steve DeMarco being your director is amazing, right? When you're on this giant swing, which like, it's so funny. I'm sure that they probably just finished putting it in before I got in there and they're like, yeah, it's fine. Yeah. Go ahead. No, they always made sure I was safe, but
you did such a good job of like seeming a little crazy, like crazy enough that like Kenzie was like, hold on a second. What's going on here? But like being like, no, I'm just going to win him back. It's time.
It's a plan. Restart. It's a plan. Once you have a plan, you feel good. No, I love that.
And you look fucking smoking hot in that red.
You know, 90. I still have that red nightie.
Really?
I
You're
don't
welcome,
wear it,
Seth.
but I still have that red nightie because once in a while I'll be digging and I'll be like, oh yeah, the red nightie, more stuff.
Wait, that wasn't your red nightie?
No. I kept it.
You just kept it. Interesting. Where is it?
It's like over in my drawers. Over there.
Really?
Go get it.
Put it on. Put it on. Put it on. Take it off. Come back. You'll both be eating peanuts. Just waiting. One other thing I loved in this sequence of episodes was the little girl. You know, the vision.
I remember.
I can't remember if I told this story before, but like I love seeing children work because she came to set so prepared. We go to the bar to block the scene and I have my sides and, you know, I'm like trying to figure it out and I'm like looking and I start reading and I look up and she's like right there. She's like, you know, there's a warning coming. And I was like, oh my God, you know all your lines. Like, hang on, let me find it, you know. And I was so thrown by her, like, because she was just so good and so present and like didn't miss a beat in every rehearsal moment and everything. She just did it. And it was just so cool to work around someone so young.
Well, because children, they don't, I mean, some children do, but I think a lot of actor children who have gotten into that profession. I mean, think about it when you guys were young. I don't know. I got into it as a kid and it wasn't a job to me, or it wasn't like you played pretend all the time. Yeah. So it was kind of second nature. You weren't embarrassed by playing pretend. You weren't self-conscious. That's just what children do. I think in a way makes them very natural, brilliant actors when they have that it factor, you know?
If they can be kids to do that, though. Like I've worked with a bunch of kids and there's a rare one that's like that, but I found most of them do it by rote. They learn, like, whether it's the mom that's like, okay, get the line, you know, they learn it totally perfect. And then they actually can't be very natural. They just say it that way.
That
every
comes
time.
and it's too bad because what that does to a young person is, first of all, if they ever want to continue to be an actor, you're teaching them what acting isn't, you know, and you're kind of making that in them at a young age, and then they kind of don't stand a chance. And it also doesn't feel as good to perform that way. You know, so I know I hate seeing that like super stagey, you know. Anyway, this is sad.
Yeah.
I mean, Kris, you're a child actor right now. How do you feel about it?
You're a child with a beard.
Perpetual child actor.
Lifelong child actor.
Brought my Dungeons and Dragons set to set. I'm just going to roll up some characters while I'm setting up the cameras, if that's okay.
The only acting,
Fireball.
the only acting I did as a child, because you guys were both actually child actors. I was not.
I was not totally
Chris
taking
you started in
university.
That's right. That is right.
Yeah, I started when I was 21.
I think I'm the only child.
Well, I did acting as a child, but I wouldn't call myself a child actor because I did a lot of local commercials in my hometown, and then we got paid $5. That's right, five big ones, which was big.
Wow!
And then
they paid you $5 to be in a commercial,
and then we'd walk across the street to King's Place to go to Sigs and Things. That was the name of the little shop that had candy, and we'd buy candy.
But how did they even get away with paying you $5?
Because it was local commercials.
Non-union.
That was my experience. That's it.
Yep. Back where St. Bruns is where friends are just strangers you don't know yet.
That's right. And they rip you off if you're 5 big ones, which is probably more like
it's okay.
20 today.
Years later, you'd lay in a bed of money and it would be
That's
fine.
right. Between seasons, I would lay. That's right. Oh my gosh.
In your red nightie.
And my red nightie. Oh my God. This is so perfect. This is an Instagram photo waiting to happen. Not. So yes.
Yeah. You heard it here first on the Lost Girl Rewatch podcast Instagram. Well, on that note, I think we've covered just about everything. Mm-hmm. There's anything else you guys want to add about that season 2 episodes?
Just that it's great to see it again.
I know.
To see us all and doing our thing and
right now.
Yeah. And it's great to see you again, Mr. Holden-Ried. And thank you for being here with us. And I know fans are going to love to hear from you, as they always do. And it's just, you're always a breath of fresh air. So we really appreciate you.
Do you think we're going to look back on this episode in 15 years and be like, damn, Kris was hot?
The lesson is no matter what, Kris is always hot.
I know.
I'll just have I cut my own hair last night.
Okay.
You did well. And you're wearing that nice fisherman sweater. Like I'm into the fisherman look. In fact, what I've been saying down to here to people is like, I love that like Captain Highliner look. And then I realized no one knows who Captain Highliner is here.
What?
Yeah, but that's also because you grew up in New Brunswick. Of course, you're into like the fisherman look.
Yeah, I want people to smell kind of fishy.
I was frankly going for the Nordic ski guy look, but
right.
I'll take the mark.
You know what? You're a Nordic ski on a fishing trip. There you go.
Fantastic.
Anyway, thank you, Miss Skarsten. Thank you, Mr. Holden-Ried. Thank you, everybody, for listening. And
thank you all for coming.
We'll see you guys on the next one.
Bye.
Yeah, I'll see you on 205. All right, bring you back to the Dyson backlash.
We will.
Backstory.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.
Okay, so it is that time where we answer voicemails from you guys. And we're so excited to do this. This is the first time we're hearing these voicemails. So Anna, do you want to kick it off?
Yes, I do. I'm very excited. Our first voicemail ever on the Lost Girl Rewatch podcast is from Amy. Let's listen.
Hello, ladies. Hey, Rachel and Anna. Anna, it's Amy. I know you're shocked to hear from me. Totally kidding. And I can't believe that we have to do this in one take. That is not fair. Anywho, are we only allowed to ask questions specific to season 2? And then I just want to know which you guys preferred shooting inside or outside, not including the days that it's cold, because I know that would suck. But which did you guys like to do? And then if it is specific to season 2, just start with season 1 then, I guess, because that was shot outside. Okay. Thank you, ladies. Have a great weekend.
Okay. Thank you, Amy, for your question. And I'm very happy to hear from you. I don't know. I mean,
that one doesn't have to be specific to any season. I think it can be sort of general.
Yeah.
What do you like, inside or outside?
Yeah. I mean, I like lots of mixing it up. I do like if we've been on location, which is like outside or away from the studio, I like coming back to the studio and having like a little bit of a hunker down week. That's kind of nice. I don't know. We're always too hot, too cold, too wet to dry.
I know.
So
I know.
I don't know. There's something nice about the energy of outside, though.
Okay. For sure. If you're like, downtown beside a coffee shop and it's like temperate summer, but when it's winter,
and someone brings you a coffee.
Rare. Yeah. Usually it's like you're shooting outside and it's 4 a.m. and you're freezing because it's winter, or you and I in Brazenwood where it was so hot. Like I think I lost 20 pounds of water weight all in my pants. Like legit. But so I would have to say, for sure, sometimes it's nice to shoot outside, but I'm like a studio girl all the way. I love shooting in the studio.
Yeah, I do too. I think if I have to choose, I like the security of the studio. It's a little bit more controlled. And questions, guys, could be about any season. It doesn't have to be specific to season 2. Just FYI.
We'd love it to be specific to the episode. That's very fun, but it doesn't have to be. It
does not have to be. Let's do another one. This one is from Yolanda.
Okay, Yolanda.
Question for Anna. What's your favorite food?
Oh, God. What's my favorite food? I mean,
you don't like hot dogs. That's for sure.
I definitely, let's start with what I hate. Hot dogs, veggie dogs, any type of tube of something. I don't like it.
Type of tubed food.
Yeah,
I'm not into.
But my favorite food, I mean, I love sushi. I feel like everyone says that. I love vegetables. Boring, but I do. I love them. Okay. I love roasting vegetables. I remember you used to get steamed veggies with like olive oil and hot sauce or something on it.
Oh yeah, steamed veggies with sriracha. That was
sriracha.
How did you remember that? That's
because I remember everyone through food.
That's so funny. I know you do. You do actually remember everyone's food.
I do.
Yes, steamed veggies with sriracha. I still get that on set. Mm-hmm. That's my go-to.
Nice.
But they did probably the best on Lost Girl, maybe tied with one other show for selection of veggies.
Nice. Nice. Good. Well, great questions, guys. Thank you. Keep sending them in and we will keep answering them. See you next time.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of the Lost Girl Rewatch podcast, which is produced by Anna Silk, Rachel Skarsten, and Seth Cooperman, with theme music by our very own Blood King, Rick Howland. Please rate, review, and share the Lost Girl Rewatch podcast. This enables us to grow and to continue bringing you exciting new content every week. If you don't already, follow us on Instagram and on our YouTube channel at Lost Girl Rewatch. You can also subscribe to Patreon, where you will get exclusive video access to all of our episodes.